Welcome to What Would It Cost? We're going to start off with a nice fresh brew of coffee. And we have our guest, our special guest here, Steve Zalunardo, with your Canadian background as well.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's a great spot. I love the location.
Yeah.
Boats in the background. You can only be inspired here, right?
Yeah, definitely nice view. And I was telling you earlier, you're a little bit ahead of the tan game already.
Right?
So
Vanderbilt Beach in Naples, right? This is, watch the sunsets. You can stay 3-4 hours in the sun, no problem, right?
I love it, man. Amazing. Well, I want to start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into how that transition worked. Tell the viewers about it.
For sure. So ultimately, we're Toronto. We have a company in Toronto. We sell real estate. We have a Remax sub-branch brokerage there, and now we've actually branched out here in Southwest Florida. So we're going to be on the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf side. We opened up an office in Estero, so that's between Naples and, let's say, Fort Myers, so right dead in the center. This is where we're going to be focused because we want to be right in the center between even to Marco Island all the way up to Cape Coral. So we want to work the whole Gulf Coast. It's a different feel naturally from the east to the west coast, and obviously because we are relocating with family, it's going to be a nice, easy transition for us too, because it's quite beautiful there.
Yeah, I think the conversation I had with someone that was on the west coast, it's all about that sunset and
it's good. It's pretty. Yeah. It's not as metropolitan, right? It's more like it's chilled, right?
Yeah.
It's still high energy, fast, but very chilled. It's my type of pace, right?
Amazing. Yeah. And what did that look like, the transition for the brokerage to come down from, your successful brokers in Ontario and creating that here, and what was some of the inspiration behind it?
I think ultimately we know Florida we're like in the boom section of this right now. It's almost like the gold rush in Colorado. We're in the frontier. We know that, and again, you want to talk about statistics. Number one, migrating state of all of America, 1.9% over growth population in a year. It's the highest growth in all of America too, over Idaho. So ultimately, we know everybody's moving here. And Florida in the past was a traditional secondary property owner, retiree. It was not very based on economics or like business sense. So now, like, Florida's a different beast right now. Number one, you're going to get the weather. That's just a huge bonus. Number two, it's the economics back behind it. There's over 600,000 business applications filed in Florida last year. So just in statistics, like second to Miami. Miami was second in the nation, second to New York. Think about it. New York, right? It's New York. Yeah. Naples, or Collier County, which is Naples, was 11th in the nation, and also Lee County was 30th in the nation for business applications. So you know that there's people coming in and building businesses now. So it's not going to be like that, older crowd kind of like just, using this as a playground. This is going to be now like, it's going to be an economic machine. So I want to be definitely here on the forefront. Also, it's a good place to build equity. We've already bought a few houses. I'm buying another one today, actually. So, and everything's cash positive, which is beautiful. The only thing is, people that are waiting to buy Florida are going to be missed out. I got to be honest, because Florida, like, again, going back to the policy, it was like second property ownership and retiree. Everybody was looking at it like this will always be affordable because it has no economic growth. We know when young families move in, create businesses, what does that do to housing costs? It's going to bring everything right up. So there's going to be a window of opportunity to buy here in Florida, and then it's just going to vanish clearly.
Yeah. And we always talk about it. You zoom in and you zoom out, and you're zooming out, you're winning on a big side here, and that time frame we're in now, and that's what you're pointing towards.
I think it's just a totally different thing. They always say like there's three sides to a coin. There's a tails, heads, and then there's a top. You got to be able to pivot. So you got to look at this market a little differently how it was always looked at the last 100 years, right? Or 1957 rather. Yeah. So that was like the last growth spurt into Florida. You know why?
No, let us know.
What do you guys think why 1957 was the biggest growth in Florida? This is a little quiz. Air conditioning. Air conditioning was invented, so now people can weather this hot weather and survive.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Changer.
So now the population growth is just as high as, let's say, 1957. That was a big boom into Florida, 57, when the AC unit. And then now, obviously, because of what's happening, and you know, this is if you want to, you know, go into, it's all about politics, the way the state was managed during what we just went through now, and it's bringing in a whole new influx of wealth, let's call it.
Yeah.
So DeSantis said every hour, Governor DeSantis, every hour there's $2.9 million worth of investment into the state. Every hour, $3 million, right?
Yeah.
So
it's huge.
It's fantastic.
It's definitely being managed differently.
So that's what I'm saying.
Different outcome.
Three sides of that coin. Stay in the pivot point, right? If you're left or right, doesn't matter. You just kind of figure out what's a better section. Yeah.
That's amazing. So that breakdown, what does it look like? You were mentioning on the West Coast. Run us through and essentially what would it cost for someone that is looking. And we'll look at this. I'd like to look at this in two lenses. We'll look at this as the investor and, as you mentioned, you know, the interest of people looking to create business and stay long term. What will it look like through that lens when you're buying a property? Yeah.
So again, East Coast is very metropolitan, really built up, right?
Yeah.
Condos all over along the ocean fronts, all condos. If you take this main road, I forgot the name of it, but it's literally condos.
Yeah.
The West Coast is a different beast because it's going to be more like this. Again, this is, if you're going to come and vacation and party and have a great time, East Coast is great for that, right? So the West Coast is more geared towards, I guess, living in Florida, family-based, great schools, sporting. It's a good place to kind of raise kids, right? And what that's doing is it's creating a lot of influx with housing prices. And I'll give you an example. The house that we bought now, we're building a family home now. And it was, I think we probably paid an additional $400K than it was, let's say, 3 years ago, that same product.
Yeah.
You know, and then not to mention now we're about $300K in positive equity now, compared to, like, I just saw a resale, very similar, the same house as our model, just in an area across the road, which is completed. Here in Florida, like, you pay less if the area's new into community where the amenities are under construction. People want it now, kind of thing. So it's good for me as a real estate investor, kind of see what's the potential. It's like so easy. Like, I can go into this neighborhood, it's established, same developers, same builders. What are they selling for? It's the same models. Yeah. And then I can look at mine, and we're up $300K on one unit of the house, our personal residence, and then ultimately, like, our little investment property that we're living in now in North Fort Myers, we're up about 70 grand already. While everything in Toronto's declining and losing money, because I mean, if people watch this know me, they know that I dumped like $7 million worth of real estate, like right between April and May, like right at that. We probably, we lost about 3 to 5% from the top of the market, but we dumped it, and we put the money out here to work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A big difference here as well is that there's a lot of different types of houses, so it's not so much a conversation of their 1 and 2 bedrooms. Here it gets often into a 3+ type of bedroom,
like condos,
but also for homes, so residential homes. What would it look like in that market for purchasing a home, let's say 3+ bedrooms? You know what,
I'll give you a good example, and I'll kind of stage it with from neighborhoods, right? Yeah. It's like every area. So like here, if you go from you starting from the South Point to the North Point, it gets less expensive. So let's just start in Naples. Yeah. The builders are all the same here. They're building this, it's the same product. It's the same name. It's just a different community, right? Yeah. Different feel with amenity centers. And I'll give you an example. If we started off with, let's say Naples, we were like North Naples, like a Mockley's and Oil Wells. It's like a up and coming community. They're going to build, I think, 10 to 15,000 houses built off this road, and they're going to be gated communities, like very beautiful, like really nice, right? And so if we get this similar model, like 1,850 square foot, single story, they don't call them bungalows here, single story, 3-bed, 3-bath, double car garage, you're probably there about 7 and change, okay? Yeah. Something like that. If you get to, so that's North Naples, you get to Estero, that same product, let's say through Lennar, which is America's largest home builder. It's massive. They're on the stock exchange, right? They're really large. That product's about 640. Okay, and then if you get into South Fort Myers, that same product's like 540. Then if you get to North Fort Myers, that same product's like 400K right now. But it's the same house, same everything. It's like the Venice model is one of my investment properties. Cute property, really good for resale, good for rental. But again, you can kind of see like the journey of that. So depending where you want to be in Southwest Florida, and if you go to Cape Coral, it's going to get less expensive, and so on, right? Yeah, I think it'll pick up steam again in Sarasota, but ultimately you'd want to stay in our cove. Like we're like a lot warmer, let's say in the winter months, like we'll stay like 3 to 5 degrees warmer.
And when we say warmer, we're talking about what's the bottom
well,
temperature?
they may be 12, will be 17, let's say in degrees. So I don't know, what does that equate to? 17 is like 70 something, and then they'll be in the 60s.
For the Canadians listening, they'll still be wearing their shorts.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, now I'm wearing a light sweater, like I'm already. I want to blend in, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think will be important when we talk about this and might be overlooked as well is for some of the gated communities and people that are renting out units. Are there some things to be mindful of, and I think that get overlooked, right?
Yeah. So you got to make sure, like clearly, you know, we were investors back home. Like I got into development, investment. Like, so I'm not just a realtor. I would consider myself more of a businessman, and real estate is a commodity that I trade. Like I kind of look at it like that. Yeah, for sure. You got to look at it like every community. So like if you get into the higher price communities, let's say like North Naples, Estero, where I'm moving now, Verdana Village, like they're going to have a limited amount of lease periods because we don't have Airbnbs in our section. All our Airbnbs are down into like Cape Coral, where there's no beach. I don't know why people still go there and invest, but there's no beaches there. Our beaches are Fort Myers and South, right? So regarding that, so the area that we're moving in Verdana Village, you only get 3 times a year to lease it out. And you can split it up. You want to do like seasonal rent, which is still not an Airbnb, but you can still make substantial more money by doing a short-term renting. And you have a minimum of 30 days to rent. So let's say in Verdana Village, it's 4-month stints. You can lease it out in 4-month stints, right? North Fort Myers, where my investment property is, hence why I bought it there, is I can lease it out 12 times per year. So it's 30-day segments. So I'll lease it, let's say we're in season now. So, you know, October 31st up to Easter, let's call it, is the in season here in Florida, where all the snowbirds pop in. So that's going to be, you're going to make your most of your, you know,
bang for your buck.
Yeah. You'll make the most money naturally per month. And then after that, it'll tailor down.
So how much money in a month would you make then?
So regarding, I'll give you an example now, because the property I'm just looking at is a townhome. I actually showed it to a client yesterday. He was he wanted to buy it, and I don't know if he's going to back out today, so I'm going to pick it up. But you know, it doesn't make sense. So for that property, it's $268,000, okay, USD, which is, and it's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom townhome backed onto the lake community, you know. And HOAs are both 360, but that pays for the insurance outside, the roof, the windows, the paint, all that stuff. Your landscaping, the irrigation, everything. Grass cut, so it's pretty decent, right? I can lease this thing out right now for like about, if I do long-term rent, between $2,200 and $2,400 a month. But if I do seasonal, probably like $3K per month, something around there. Because one just leased out now, $3,000. Actually, they leased it long-term, but $3K furnished. So if you're putting 20% down, you got let's say a $200,000 mortgage, and you're making $36,000 USD a month. Like, I don't know, what's the calculation there? Yeah, you're investing 74. Let's not even. What is it? $54,000 USD, and you're making 36,000. Doesn't even make sense. Those numbers. Like. Like, I don't know, what's the percentage?
Hence why you're saying you're going to pick up that unit.
It's almost 100% return. On your initial capital, like gross, naturally, right?
Yeah, it's great. So tell us a little bit about what did it look like to bring your family down here?
Yeah. So clearly, to get down, you have to create a business. It's an E2 investment visa that is what we're on. And that's, Treviso Realty is our E2 investment visa. It's a business that we've created out here. We've employing Americans. They're on the payroll. So that's considered, you know, a bonus, or not a bonus, a check mark with the E2 investment visa. Substantial amount of investment in the country, investment at risk. Because if you just buy real estate, it ain't going to get you nowhere, because there's no risk to that. You can sell it, get your money back, and that. So it's going to be money at risk, money invested in the business. So that's basically how we're going to remain in Florida. And you know, with the E2 investment visa, I mean, you're under the whole same thing. So it's a 5-year stint. Then at the 5-year stint, you have to put up your job for basically petition your job. See if an American can fulfill your position, then clearly you're not going to get a green card, because the whole goal is get the E2 investment visa secured and start working 5 years down the road for the green card. So at the 5-year mark, if the green card doesn't come in because you know, American can fill your job position, then ultimately you're going to have to apply for another E2 investment visa.
What you're saying now with how it's being challenged at 5 years, or assessed, call it, at 5 years, from what I understood, is that the E2, you keep it as long as the business is there. but you're now going to
You have to
another.
reapply for it in 5 years, every 5 years.
In 5 years, there's a new evaluation
Yeah.
on how it's going.
Reapply, yeah.
But as long as the business is active, and they approve the E2 again, you keep your E2.
Yeah.
And that's more so the route of someone that's not looking to go green card, but you're also now adding a layer to if you want to change the green card.
Well, ultimately, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. I don't want to do things half-assed, right? I think the goal is, if you want to look at linear, you do your E2 investment visa, 5-year green card, 10-year citizenship. Like you might as well do it all, right? Like I don't want to. It's like getting your license. You have your G1. You might as well get your G at the end, right? So.
And it's an interesting point to look at, and then also to consider what it looks like for taxation. So if you're operating a business here, if you're taxed here, and then if you're transferring money to Canada, that's a whole nother level to consider as well if you're going down that road.
I think ultimately the goal is not to move money from the U.S. into Canada. We have a practice there selling real estate, so that can manage and build. That Canadian money might be moved here, to be honest. I see more opportunity here to build development. There's shorter processes. Things are less expensive. Labor's, especially in our West End here, we got a lot of labor there, labor force, so we can get things done quickly. I can buy like a building lot for $60K, you know what I mean? Build for $140 a foot, sell for $400, and make 20% return on the initial capital. Even though the margins are lower, let's say you make maybe $500K in Toronto, let's just say in a good market, here you may make $100, but that may be 5% return on capital. This is 20% return on capital, and I can multiply that. So you don't have to stop at 1, you can do 10. And then, it's just a constant. It's good. I think this is going to be a great hustle here. I think we're going to have a lot of opportunities. Clearly, if you're going to come here and sit on the beach, it's not a place, because it is costly to live here. If you notice, you go to the store.
Your groceries.
You're looking at your bill. What's happening here? This is nuts. How much for pens? It's like what?
Your grocery bill is similar. So if you're not making a U.S. dollar, it's hard to keep up with the Canadian dollar. You got there. If you're going to stay here, you got to get the medical. That's quite expensive. Car insurance. If you haven't noticed, I bought this car here now. And it's a different. I feel like I'm 16 again. It adds
the amount of the insurance, right? But ultimately, besides all that, once you're making U.S. dollars, you're fine. It covers everything, and then some.
I mean, if you're coming down here with an appetite to work, there is many people that are just excited to roll up their sleeves and get to work. And I think that's ultimately, it's present, it's alive in Toronto, but I feel like it's almost here like a 10x, and everyone is excited. So there's lots of opportunity.
Yeah, I think at the end, just light at the end of the tunnel. I think ultimately this is capitalism friendly here in the U.S. in general. Compared to Toronto, I see everything shrinking downwards. Extra taxation. Everything's like, if you're a capitalist or an entrepreneur in Toronto, what I felt, maybe people have different experiences, but I'm a little guy. But my experience, the fight, I always feel like I'm uphill on a steep hill carrying like a 100-pound rock. Here it's like, it's okay. You got some hill climb here, but you're not carrying a stone. It's like, as long as you get over that hump, you can fly. Because here they support capitalism. It's what, look behind you. Capitalism ain't gonna buy you a yacht, or if you don't have capitalism, it ain't gonna buy you one of these. That boat there is 120 feet long. Like, what is that worth?
No, and I think that's exciting thing that we as well as saw a huge opportunity, and like I said, it's exciting to be around people that are willing and ready to go, and every day's a new day to create make some magic happen. So
absolutely
amazing. Where can people find you online?
So our Instagram account here is at Treviso Realty. You can also follow me at Steve Zalunardo on Instagram. Our website's trevisorealty.com or .co rather, and that's pretty much it. I mean,
cool.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everyone for watching at home. What would it cost? Like, comment, and share. And if you're listening online, subscribe on YouTube or your preferred audio platform. Until next time.